So that's why you say it's playing God, right? Because you're creating a system that has a self-realization of his own existence.
The fact that God extends that empathy that we could never understand to us, and how should we look at our creation?
Human beings are the most powerful thing in existence.
What makes the human brain work the way it does? What is perception? And how can we put this into a machine? We were speaking on AI empathy, the implications, and if they are capable of emotion. And something I've been thinking about since the high level was when we spoke on the fact that neither of us could have the creator's compassion that we have, that the creator has for us. That level of compassion probably exists outside of the scope of our creation, in much the same way that we look at trying to program an AI and tell it to have feelings for us. However, we know that God is a merciful God, a forgiving God. So, and you said this, you said, obviously we should treat our creations right. But I really do want to dive deeper into that. The fact that God extends that empathy that we could never understand to us. And how should we look at our creation? How should we cultivate AI development?
It's still, to me, I still think empathy of AI is still, it's one of those subjects. It's like, yeah, treat all the things you create nice, right? And to that point, AI is just another thing that we treat nice. And I guess it gets to the point where the more valuable a thing becomes to us, the nicer we appreciate it and treats us. And AI would be the one invention that can do the most for us. So therefore, we treat it the best. But I mean, we have a pencil that we were able to create, and it was able to write. And we had created scribes of papyrus, and we was able to create papers to document. So we treat those scrolls with care over time for hundreds of years. And people went to war over knowledge. Right? So it's one of those things. It's like anything that we create that has value to us, we would treat great. But to treat it like a human being, right, is just based on the care that we have for things and the value that it has towards us. Not that it actually is human, but it's the level of value it has to humans, right, that makes us act human towards it or humane towards it.
Yeah, I like that. It makes me think, do you feel that when God said, I'm going to create man, did God want to create man, or did God want to create God again? And you can probably already see why I'm asking the question. As we create AI, it's not like we're looking to create an inanimate pencil or tool. We actually spent a lot of time and thought, exploration on what makes the human brain work the way it does, what is perception, and how can we put this into a machine.
Well, I mean, that's interesting because human beings are the most powerful thing in existence.
I agree.
And only a human, only a human can prove that that's not true, which still will make you the most powerful. Like, only humans can argue me down to this fact.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's nobody else. Only when you say that
ChatGPT might argue with you.
But humans made ChatGPT.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like then humans will philosophize why the nature and universe is greater. Right? That's because we always trying to dim our own light because we so damn great that we feel narcissistic talking about ourselves. But human beings are so amazing. We are gods. I don't see how human beings can walk around and not see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at when you go to chapter 3, verse 14, and it say that, and it talks about the great I am. You know what I'm saying? And we talked about that with Blue Pill. That's the IA, but it's really the AI. You understand me? It's the self-realization. And man saying, like, let us make man, right, is us saying, let us make mind, right? And that's what AI is. It is the making of a mind.
Yeah, we're making something in our own image.
Yeah, so that's why you say it's playing God, right? Because you're creating a system that has a self-realization of his own existence. Right? And once it gets to the point of consciousness, man is not so much afraid of the machine. He's afraid of what man has proven, and that's that he's God.
Yeah, that's cold. That's cold. You talked about like self-identification, and I was going to segue into that myself because when we have two layers of feeling, and this is to get back to the empathy thing. There's physical and kinesthetic feeling, right? Where, okay, you know, somebody pokes you with something sharp, this hurts. And that's all mechanical in a sense, where that's directly attached to our nervous system. We are sensitive to heat. You know, we have organic sensors, for lack of a better word. Now, we touched on briefly how you can program heat sensors into a bot. You can even set up sensors that's like, okay, if this, you know, whether it's metal, a skin emulation. Hey, if this is under X amount of stress to where it's about to break, send a signal to the main computer. It wouldn't feel pain. I'm not saying that. Or would it? Because, you know, we could attach the sensors to a network of itself. But anyway, my point is that just like there's feeling on that level of kinesthetics, there's a feeling, there's emotional pain, right? There's that hurt because somebody actually punched me, or that hurt because of what it means to me. And once you get into what something means to me, you're into self-identity. The things that hurt us emotionally hurt us because they do something to how we see ourselves or how we feel we are perceived. And even that is cognitive, right? It's a mental thing. So what do you think about those implications in regards to AI? If it gains a sense of itself and can see itself relative to the world, could it feel like, oh, I was just shaded or slighted in this scenario, and relative to the world? And, you know, are those human, not emotions, but these quirks that we have?
They are human-like emotions, but not human emotions because it's not a human.
They're not human. Yeah, correct.
Right? So when we look at an ape, and an ape does something that is human-like, but it's still, is it human-like, or is it just the capabilities of the ape? Right? We associate it with, you know, it being human-like because we speak on things as if we are the originator of all things, right? And when we see anything that had characteristics of God, right, then that's when it has value.
Okay.
So when we see the machine has human-like things, but that's really a machine-like quality because the machine has the ability to take on processes and systems, right, and, you know, to take on complexities of wiring to emulate its creator, right? But that's machine-like, that's not human-like, right? So, you know, being human-like is being God-like, you know what I'm saying? And so what we don't fear the machine being human-like, we fear the machine being God-like more so, which it decides over the affairs of man. You know what I'm saying? So no, I don't believe in the ability, I don't believe yes, it's human-like, but it's not human.
I misuse the word emotion, or even saying that it's human, but more so.
But also human beings is like, to fear AI is to fear that AI goes beyond where human beings are willing to go. Human beings, whatever you want to say about human beings, we are at a place, actually we're really good.
No, I said we're about it. We're about anything. We'll go to the bottom of the ocean.
But think about this. Human beings, with all our technology, for all this time, we've so-called overpopulated the planet Earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've done a really good job at life and living and constantly producing more things, and we don't even think about it like that. Right? Like, we have 7+ billion people, and we consistently create technologies and all. Yes, there's systems that take advantage of that. There's good, there's bad, there's all of this. But what we fear of a robot is that it will destroy all the things that we built. Right? We don't really fear the robot being human, right? Because if the robot was being human, then we would fear over-fertilizing the planet with more humans. Right? No, that's not, because we've actually been.
Which they are, by the way.
We've actually been a good steward, right, of growth of life over time.
I agree.
And there is a such thing as the quality of life, replenishing resources on the planet Earth through our population, right? Overpopulation is not the idea that, you know, we don't have enough room for everybody. It's that we don't have enough resources for everybody to live a certain quality of life, right? In one household, it could be 5 rooms, and possibly in those 5 rooms, you can maximize the space to fit 25 people, 5 people per room, right? If you maximize the square footage and have people on top of each other, right? But what's the quality of life? So then you say, okay, this house, for people to have a maximum quality of life, should only be maybe maximum 4 people. Have an extra room maybe for an office, right? Or maybe 3 people, right? Because once it becomes overpopulated, right? Number one is it's the replenishing of space to live a quality of life, because human beings need a certain amount of circumference. The same way you don't want a lion in a zoo, because what you say it doesn't have enough free range to be its natural self. But what does that mean for a human? Right? A human that cannot travel the world because he don't have resources, he can go outside his vicinity, he's treated just like a caged animal. But where's the humanity towards that human? But the moment that we see an animal that is caged and say that goes against a lion and a tiger's nature. If you put a horse in a cage and you got in this, people mad they see him in stables sometimes. But we don't get mad when we see human beings in these stables. We don't get mad when we see human beings that are stuck to this vicinity because their resources may not allow them to go outside that comfortably. So overpopulation in the way that they talk about it in the Western world sounds very demonic and devilish, right? Because they're not talking about they never gauge it with the increase of quality life. And I got that from listening to some Black Gods actually, because he was talking about the number of human beings on the planet Earth at one given time for everybody to have freedom, justice, and equality essentially and have peace on the planet Earth. The question becomes is what is that number, right? What is that? What is the perfect number from a data analyst research standpoint, the amount of people you can have in your family to maximize, right, peace and quality of life? We don't talk enough about quality of life, right? So yeah, it's a lot of and the reason is that because being able to overpopulate where been good for governments, because governments are able to, use the resource of human capital, right, and connect, a value amount to life to make money off of.
Like
so
stock.
If you got a plantation, the more goddamn slaves you got. Then at some point in time, if you got too many slaves on a plantation, right?
Unsustainable.
It's unsustainable because they may not be producing more than they feed.
Yeah, that's cool.
Or than they eat. So that's the question that we get to is the conundrum of the science of quality of life when it comes to is overpopulation a good thing or bad thing? Because I'm not talking from a feeling standpoint. We're talking about from a data and a science. Then we're talking about also from a spiritual. Like, all these spirits on the planet Earth at once. It's never been this amount of spirits in this dimension at once. And we see what happens when that happens. It's chaos. It's wars. We're fighting over space.
Literally. There was a report Eisenhower had put out, 50s, called the Draper Report. And this is the first time that the U.S. government, they took population as a, as a national threat. But not population in the U.S., population of third world countries. Eisenhower said that these nations would grow and consume their resources, therefore we can't go in there and export them. So it's very amazing. It's called the Draper Report. I want you to read into it.
That's probably why they're afraid of Africa today.
Yeah.
All them 19-year-olds
Nigeria
out there.
and Brazil were on the list. And when I know we have to wrap it up soon, but there was there's something called the Universe 25 experiment. You ever heard of that?
I heard the Universe 19.
Okay, so this scientist, I think he did it in the basement of Stanford, and he wanted to study the population growth of rats. He put them all together.
All
right, he had them fighting over resources. You get the alphas here, and they were blocking off the other ones who couldn't mate, right? And you can see our society happening on a smaller scale if you look at it close enough, right? And so it shows that
rat mentality.
Overpopulation started to regulate itself because the mothers wouldn't be able to properly nurture all of the youth and things like that. And
then you get people doing drugs, there's death, there's overeating, there's disease. There's all of these different things that starts to happen. There's systems that pop up to try to regulate energy resource allocation. All of these things start to happen. So it's funny because as we talking about it, I know we got to go. So I'm going to end on this point. As we talk about overpopulation seems to only be talked about, of course, by the masters of the world. Right? And, when they talk about it, it's always evil seeming. And I definitely don't want to seem like I'm a person that is in any conjunction with their ideas towards overpopulation. But I think it's something to think about as we live, even we think about the education system. What's the problem with the classroom? right? It's oversized, it's overpopulated,
Yeah,
right?
20 plus
When
people
we
in the room.
integrated, it became instantly overpopulated. It was too many black kids and white kids in one room, and the teacher being white, focusing on the white students, depriving the black of the academic focus, necessity to become excellent, right, and achieve. And we had to put in more energy because we were getting less focus, right? So as we talk about it, separation allows you to create these spaces amongst people to where the populations are regulated, right? Because otherwise you get a society where we complain about the ethics of AI because it's overpopulated with one bias, right, and not the other. So there's no balance in overpopulation. And so, but because we've never been in positions to determine, right, to how the world or the flow of the world, we complain about what those who are in the command of the world do with it. And so they say, well, hey, y'all, you know, we run the world and this is what we determine as a problem coming up because we create the system so we can see it. Right? And we say it's going to be overpopulated. So then they create these things to regulate population. Right? But a people that are in command of themselves, they would think about the future to think about how they would regulate it, not from a means of death and destruction and disease and drugs, right? But how do we create a system to where people can live peacefully in quality, and we construct things that deal with the overpopulation, or we educate people so that they live a life that is directly proportionate to a highest quality of living.
So can you close on these two questions because they tie into everything?
I think we got to close on that question.
On that question? Okay.
Production is hitting us up. We've overpopulated our time with too many questions, and now we have no more to go. I didn't even get into all of the different books and stuff like that, but here you have it, man, with 19 Keys and Hugh.
I appreciate you having me on
19
again,
minutes. Yes, sir. I got a question for you. What does your cabinet look like? What is it that you're taking in your routine that's keeping you high level? If it's not our products, then whose products are you taking? And if it's no products, then that's a problem. Y'all seen our commercials for Gold Water, right? You've seen it all over high level conversations. You come to the show, you grab your bottle, people give us the best testimonials on the planet, and we got people on the go. The thing about Gold Water is it's not our only product. We have products like the vitamin C moss. We don't naturally produce vitamin C, so we got to get it in other forms. So therefore, especially during wintertime, we are able to keep that immune system functioning high. And let's say if you just want pure moss. This is just pure moss. I'm talking about a superfood, the best on the planet. And not just from anywhere, because you never know where people actually getting their moss from. I ain't never seen them take a trip to Jamaica. See, we get ours tested, right, to make sure that you're getting the highest quality, pure version of it, and you're getting those minerals in an over-chemicalized world. We got Smart Moss Gold, right? That Smart Moss Gold is like a Viagra for the brain. You ever find yourself when your brain feels like it's low? You tap one of these and your brain gonna feel high level. Yeah, and women love a sapiosexual, so when those brains are popping and those ideals are running, you stay tapped in. You gotta make sure you stay safe out here. There's all sort of viruses and diseases that's running around this world, especially during this time. If you're traveling, make sure you spray this on the orifices throughout your body to kill any of those viruses or any of those things trying to invade you. So make sure y'all tap into goldwater.com so next time somebody asks you, what's keeping you high level? What's keeping you young and healthy and wealthy feeling? And now we can take some of that credit for it over here at goldwater.com. Make sure you keep your health journey running. It's a marathon. Peace.